Good evening to all my friends here in the US. It's December 30th here in the United States at 7 in the evening. But good morning to all my friends back home dyan po sa Pilipinas at 11 in the morning, December 31st, New Year's Eve na po. I am so happy that I'm here again to say goodbye at magpaalam sa year 2020. This is going to be my last live streaming for the year 2020. So I will share some of my reflections as I bid farewell to this year. So I hope you can reflect with me as I answer several questions during my live show today. So feel free to type it in the chat in my Facebook and YouTube channel, just in case you have something to share with me. So without further ado, I will be sharing some of my thoughts as we go through down memory lane of the 2020, and of course, answer some questions like I mentioned. So onward to the future, but we first must say goodbye say year 2020. So these are some of my personal reflections in terms of my professional and personal life, because I think we all need closure with this eventful year. I'm pretty sure that most of us, I think we have to give ourselves a chance to reflect on the past years. And I just remembered one time with my family, yung nanay ko, my mom, actually gathered us like December 31st with my siblings. And we kind of look back on what went wrong and challenges that we experienced along the way. No? So little do we know, we actually did have some triumphs that's worth remembering. So that's why I think reflecting on this year will give us a proper closure of what had happened. And the questions that we're going to answer today is from this book called Learning by Doing by Gibb's Reflective Cycle. That was in 1988. And so I think with this eventful year, we should look back, lalo na the events in our lives that took the hardest hit. And for me, I think it's actually my career as a teacher. So yeah, it's this time of the year. And let's start reflecting on what happened in the year 2020. So I have some set of questions. So I will get to it right away with 6 questions. So let's start by answering kind of like by describing what had happened this year. And if you can follow along too, do it. You can write it down. You can type it in the chat. You can think about your answer as I share mine with you. And I'll start first with the first 2 questions. So what did school look like this year? Where did learning take place? So these are my first 2 questions that I'll answer. So of course, first 3 months of the year, I thought it was like any other year. Like it seems like normal. But when March 13th hit, everything changed. Doon na nagbago lahat. And it went by so quickly that we didn't have the time to say our proper goodbye to our students face to face. I remember that day we actually changed our schedule to having a short day because we needed to have like an emergency meeting in the afternoon. So I just had my students test out their lab project and all that, and that was actually the last time I've seen my student face to face that day. And right after that, we had a 2-week training to prepare and transition to distance learning. And that's what happened. By the end of March, we actually started distance learning, and we learn online. Third question: who was involved in the learning experience this year? How was that different from previous years? So, in terms of my career as a teacher, everyone in the entire school starts shifting suddenly to teach online, and it's a totally new to most of us in the school, and it's like teaching for the first time. So, well, except for me, I did have had prior experience, but I noticed it's kind of hard to navigate if your colleagues are, just trying to ease in and getting used to the online learning. So I did the best I could to really help out, support, and provide resources for my colleagues. And I think that's one way I could help out in making sure that we are providing a good online learning experience for our students. So that's my answer for number three. And then number four: what did teachers and students do to navigate this learning situation? So looking back, actually, no one actually volunteered for this, no? And so we did the best we could, both teachers and students. So talagang there's a lot of hand holding and a lot of social emotional learning activities that we had to do just to sustain, to maintain, and to keep the engagement of students online. We also have to recognize that our students really need that social connection. I teach at a middle school, and this is kind of like critical age where students are really like opening up, socialize, and all that. And that was really, really difficult. And everyone has to navigate an unfamiliar territory to learn online. And so that's my question. That's my answer to question number four. Question number five: why did learning look different this year? Well, it is physically impossible to hold classes in schools, and schools are not equipped to observe 6 foot social distancing when you have 30 kids inside a classroom, and not to mention they have to wear a mask, and it's a big issue at the beginning because we don't know so much about the virus at the time. So talagang um, nakakatakot. It's so scary, and um, it's definitely not an option to learn face to face. And so many of our students felt unengaged, being disconnected because of the lack of social connection that they're used to. And therefore the learning that's taking place is kind of like, I don't know. And so there's a lot of adjustment that we had to do, which is why learning is actually different this year. And if you do have some, reflections similar to mine, please let me know. But I will answer number 6. What did you want learning to look like this year? Well, after looking back since March, I think I want learning how it should be this year, um, which is remotely, because there's no other way. And it's just a matter of being creative and find ways to keep students engaged. It is really hard, though, for the 25% of our students who relied on social interaction to learn, and kind of fall into the cracks because of the feeling of disconnection from the real world. So I think I wouldn't trade this way of learning this year, because at least there's something that our students, um, are learning, not just, like, okay, there's no school, so what now? But I knew my colleagues, the teachers around the world are doing the best we can to be able to provide a good quality education for our students. And that's it. So how about our feelings and emotions? Paano naman yung ating nararamdaman, yung mga emosyon natin? Let's answer some questions that has to do with what we were thinking and feeling. So first question, how did this semester's learning environment make you feel? Well, to answer that question, I feel there's some successes, but meron ding disappointments, no? And especially if you can't really control the situation that my students might be going through, because some of the students are really clueless, and some students just really don't care. But when I see the majority of my students still getting what they need and making the most out of the situation, I feel that's enough. I can't make their, but I can. What I can do is that I could make a better learning experience for them every time. So my question to you is, how about you? Um, how do you feel during the first quarter that you were teaching remotely, especially to our friends who are teaching online just like me? How did you feel? For me, I thought I'm prepared, but probably I need a little bit more. So that's how I felt at the beginning. Even if I have training, it's still different because the students that I'm teaching are used to learning face to face, of course. Now, question number 2 and 3, I'll answer together. So, what were you feeling before the year started? How did you feel as it comes to a close? Okay. So, I was really feeling positive in terms of my career and even my doctorate program. It will go well this year until COVID happens. But then, as it comes to a close, all my plans of having my proposal, to be done and everything, it was all pushed back, and it was really frustrating. So that being said, answering number 4, how do you think others feel about the situation? So, um, I think hindi ako nag-iisa. I mean, I'm not alone in this situation. I'm not the only one who's experiencing this frustration, having a setback, and all that. And almost everyone felt the same way, which is why I had to kind of like, okay, I guess I just have to accept and move forward. So, and I'm sure you also feel that way this year. And I'm sure that we are all in the same boat. So that's about it about my feelings and emotions towards what happened this year. Let's now that I've assessed and described what happened this year, and also check in with how I felt about the situation, let's evaluate. So let's evaluate what had happened. It seems like the questions that I've answered, especially yung description ng nangyari this year, was pretty intense. But let's answer some kind of like an evaluation questions on what's good or bad about our experience. Okay, so let's answer the first one. What was good about this experience? Okay, so well, one good thing definitely about this experience is that I get to spend more time with my family at home. My kids got to see me teach passionately and how I enjoy teaching, even if it's in front of the computer. I got to teach my son, who's also at the same school where I work. He's in my advisory class. I also got the chance to teach my little guy, my 4-year-old son, um, because I actually set up a little preschool area set up for him, and then I teach him after I teach online. And but Last but not the least, though, is that my husband really um, understood how hard and well I actually teach, even from a distance. And um, I appreciate him really supporting me on this, and that he saw how, kind of like why I really wanted to teach, and I appreciate that about him, that he recognized that as well. He's kind of like became my number one fan before hindi. But yes, how about you? And what are some of the good things that had happened in your lives, and kind of think about that as well. And because sometimes we overlook those good things that happened because of the pandemic and everything, but I'm pretty sure there's some good things that had happened as well. All right, second question: what was bad about this experience? Okay, let's think about that real quick. Well, what was bad about this experience is that first, all my races for the rest of the year got canceled. I only got to do one race. I actually do obstacle course races, so that's what I've been, um, you know, been doing outside teaching. My grandma's 90th birthday got canceled back home, and my parents' trip to the Philippines got canceled, and as well as all the other planned trips to Arkansas, San Francisco, Chicago got canceled. Not to mention my gym membership, I had to freeze it because I can't go to the gym, and no hikes, no socialization. Everything seemed to have stopped. And I kid you not, if I'm really kind of like a social animal, I'm pretty sure I am dead. At hindi ko na alam ang gagawin ko. I don't even know what I'm gonna do if all of these things happening, all the cancellation, everything is done and over. It's really hard actually to cancel all those races because I've trained for it. And now it's really hard to work out actually because I work out to prepare for these races, and suddenly they all got canceled. Not to mention the money that I had to pay for it, and then of course you don't get it back. You just have to save it for the future. So that is my answer to the second question. Number three: how did you contribute positively to the situation? Okay, so well, even if there are some bad things, there's something positive that actually um, have contributed. And one is, which I'm really, really proud of, is actually being able to provide intensive training and webinars designed for my dear Filipino teachers on my YouTube channel. And I even got the chance to train teachers on how to use Google Classroom, online learning platforms, and online teaching strategies to prepare them for remote and distance learning, especially when we found out that in the Philippines, it is they're going to go distance learning, modular or online learning. So that's actually one thing that I believe I have contributed positively, together with Dr. E, our number bender, who influenced me to take on this challenge, um, and eventually also bled into my own school as I held parent, student, and teacher workshops to prepare everyone for distance or virtual learning. Um, so that's one. It's actually not just one, but there's a lot of them. So it's a series of webinars that I held over the summer from June all the way to July and even in August. And when school started, first week of September, I even started a morning broadcast. It's a daily morning broadcast for our school that airs on our YouTube channel, even on my YouTube channel. So before the students go to their classes. They actually watch that morning broadcast, and you know, get to interact with other students. So we have student guests, teachers, staff, the whole entire school were engaged with that morning broadcast that I spearheaded for our school, which is why I'm really proud of that contribution that I have, that I have made this year. So that's that. And for this last question, for this evaluation, how did you contribute negatively to the situation? Well, the only situation that I contributed negatively, actually, to be honest, is mainly on my health. I think not necessarily like ailing health, but the fitness. Since there's limited opportunity to be totally active, because I used to go like hikes like every 2 weeks, or actually there came a time that I hike every week. Because I'm training, because there's a purpose, there's a reason why I'm training. I'm doing the hikes is because of my races. Um, but not necessarily now that we are all on lockdown. Nasa bahay lang tayo. We are at home, and so there's actually kind of like no reason to, okay, will I climb a wall or something like that, or to hike a long distance and stuff like that. So parang walang rason para mag-training ng todo-todo. So aside from that, my nutrition is kind of like not so consistent. Although I did join a 60-day challenge, this gym that I'm associated with right now is actually um, doing those bodybuilding competitions and stuff like that. Of course, I'm not really a bodybuilding competition type, but to kind of like mimic the regimen that they do actually help me become shredded after 60 days, which is kind of nice. But then again, kind of lost kasi it's holidays, and it's pretty disappointing if you'd like, if it's very inconsistent. So that's one negative thing that I contributed negatively, which is contribute in my physical fitness and health overall. So pretty disappointing. And I'm sure, like I said, if you get the chance to watch this and rewatch this, try to answer these questions too, because it helps you really reflect. And actually, as I am answering it now, it helps me kind of like look back and have another look of what my year happened. And that's it. Next up is with that evaluation. So how are we going to analyze it? Paano natin kind of like sink in and analyze the situation we are in, we were in. So first, why did things go well? Well, I think the areas in my career, schooling, and family actually went well because I persevered. And just like what my dissertation chair would put it, I didn't lose hope. I put my one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward, and actually persevered and kept a positive mind. And positive thinking actually came a very long way for me. And I hope you do that too, and you did that too for this year. So that's my answer to number one. Number two, why didn't it go well? Okay, to specifically cite um, that I didn't do that this situation didn't go so well. For one is yung dissertation ko. I did have to really modify um, my dissertation because supposedly the data that I'm collecting for this study is from school year 2019 2020 school year. So it's a whole school year. But since schools closed down by March, my data is already truncated. So every changes that I had to do, I had to rewrite major parts of it, and I had to go through another repeat review from my dissertation chair to another reviewer and another reviewer. So that was really a setback. So yun ang sagot ko. That's my answer to question number 2. Question number 3. What knowledge helps me understand the situation? Well, again, I am not the only one who experienced this. So the pandemic actually helped me to kind of like uh, make a step back and understand that this is not a normal year. Although sometimes like, no, it's not, but yes, it's not a normal year. That I should consider myself lucky because I have a job, I have a family, I'm healthy, and you know, and you know, I you know, I have everything that I need. And to answer number 4 though, what meaning can I make out of this year? Well, that it is okay to lose control of the situation and adapt. So that's actually what meaning I can make out of this year. So that's my analysis of the whole situation that had happened in 2020. And therefore, katulad ng mga lab reports that I have to do as a science student, to conclude, ano naman kaya ang sagot natin to these questions? What did I learn from this situation? Well, like I mentioned kanina, perseverance. I actually learned to pivot, persist, and deal. Actually, nakuha ko yan from Matthew McConaughey, who would who actually I just saw on Instagram, and he has this book called Green Lights. So he said that the yellow and the red lights will actually eventually turn green. So it was actually a really good book because it actually helped us kind of like make sense of why are there red lights in our lives, because eventually you'll get to see the green light, right? So I hope you believe in that as well, and let me know, what did you learn from this situation? And that's it. That's my first question. Second question: how could this have been a more positive situation for everyone involved? That's a tough question, but maybe it would be difficult for many of us to navigate how this year could have been more positive. But for me, I felt part of me helped in making a positive impact for my students, our school, by putting a fun and engaging broadcasts that involve our whole entire school community. And I felt like we're still a school up in the World Wide Web. And also, I conceptualized this virtual celebration of science for our school and designed a website that students can explore and check out other students' projects from all grade levels within the site. I also got to the opportunity to do a live broadcast with 3 fantastic engineers as they present their field of expertise and how science play a big role in what they are doing right now. And this is such a big kind of like thing that I felt like did I did make an impact for my students, for the whole entire school as well. And I feel so honored too that I got the chance to to make a positive impact, to make the situation much much better when we know that there is pandemic going on. Okay, next question, number 3. What skills do I need to develop to handle this situation better? Okay, well, this may be from some experience that I gathered this year. Maybe one skill I need to develop to handle the situation I was uh, is to take ownership of what I am really good at and capable of doing. Like, instead of being on the sidelines or kind of like unsure whether I assert myself, kind of like really embrace who I truly am, a born leader. Sometimes I'm still convincing myself that, but I think I know I am, and I've learned from this experience that I had this year that I should not be afraid to shine. And I actually reminded me of a Facebook post that says that um, don't be afraid to shine, just like how the sun don't give an F blinding you. So that's actually one funny quote that I just read recently, just this morning, but that reminded me of that. So I think that's one skill I need to develop to handle the situation better that we have this year. And lastly, what else could I have done? I think I've done quite a lot this year. I know that, but I'm really proud of that. But if there's one thing that I could have done, is to clean my house like squeaky clean. I actually am thinking about it before I start my live, to kind of like, okay, I need to clean the bathroom, the bathtub, my room, everything. So hopefully by tomorrow I would be able to do that. All right. And we're down to our last few. So what are my next steps? Kind of like an action plan and how we can deal with our future in mind. So let's answer these questions. If I had to do it again, hopefully not, of course, what would I do differently? Okay, maybe I would have put my foot down firmly and really assert myself a bit more to really show what I got and not be afraid to step into the limelight when I know I can. So that's actually it. See, I'm still convincing myself to do that, but I think that's one thing. Hopefully, the pandemic will eventually, be put to an end, But if I had to do it again, that's what I would do. How will I develop the skills I need to be a better virtual or hybrid teacher or learner? Okay. Well, I think by keeping myself up to date to the trends in teaching online or hybrid, that's actually one of my plans. Although I'm continuously learning, exploring, looking for a lot of resources that I think would help me teach and also help others to navigate this online learning spaces and also the hybrid learning. So I think there's no harm in persistently looking for opportunities to learn. How about you? And I hope you're on the same boat with me dahil we are lifelong learners. And that's my answer for the second question. Third, how will I make different choices going forward? Well, how will I make different choices? Well, I learned that by writing things down, I would get a clear picture so that I will be able to choose wisely than relying on my memory. Sometimes it's a super daming iniisip and a lot of things to think about. Um, you know, I think it will stick more if I write things down. And at least I would have evidence to make better choices moving forward. How will I make different? Yeah. Yes. Okay. And then lastly, how can I check in with my own attitude and emotions for regularly? Well, going back to being mindful of my own well being, both heart and mind, I think I should use more of my Calm app on my phone. It always reminds me, like before I sleep, I actually have like notification to do that. And also remember to breathe, to stop, and remove all the shoulds from time to time, and which is nice. And I got this from my yoga instructor Renee, and she said just to let go. So every time that I attend our yoga class, she always mentioned about letting go and remove the shoulds. And it's really nice that I actually got to reconnect with her during this time of the pandemic, attending her Zoom yoga class every Sunday. So thank you, Renee, for that. And so I think checking in with our mind and heart regularly, actually, come to think of it, has helped me deal with the whole situation for this 2020. So moving forward, I think that's what I'm gonna continue to do. So I think that's it. Oh my God, I've answered a whole lot of questions, and I hope that you will get the chance to answer these questions too before you close the year 2020. And to end my session, gusto ko sanang iwanan sa inyo and leave this quote as my parting words. We don't grow if we first don't try to understand what was. And let 20, let's just, I don't know, welcome 2021, but give ourselves the opportunity to intentionally close this chapter and prepare for a new one. That being said, and before I actually um, go and leave everybody, I just wanted to specifically say hi to Miss Marilyn Onkiko. Well wishes, Madam Miss White. I'm thankful that I have met you and Dr. E in the midst of pandemic, and thank you po. And also looking back to all my um, friends who are in the Philippines, who are also teachers like me. Special shout out po sa inyong lahat. Lahat po ng um, sumusuporta sa amin sa Philippines. I am really, really thankful po that you are all doing well, healthy, and I'm sure na marami tayong um, challenges as a teacher, um, navigating online learning spaces for the first time. So I think yung huli kong message earlier is for us to persevere, pivot, and deal. I think we are doing just that. Kaya nga, napakagandang way to end 2020. Some sort of a reflection po with what has been going on in our lives with 2021. So that being said, I'd like to greet everyone a happy New Year. Manigong bagong taon sa inyong lahat dyan sa Pilipinas. It's actually New Year's Eve there already, and I hope that we all have a safe, healthy, and peaceful New Year to everyone. But before I go, actually, I have a little video that I just got from my phone. So I just collated all the pictures from January all the way to December. So I hope that you guys um, will find it fun and interesting of what had happened. Although hindi naman lahat, all of the pictures that I have there are not like complete, but I just pick random ones every single month of the year of 2020. And once again, let's welcome 2021 with a proper closure. And I hope that you guys will also reflect on your year 2020 before it comes to an end. Bye, everybody.